So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur who still doesn't have a product or service to sell, this will hopefully be the kick in the pants that you need to go start making money. Most entrepreneurs, they get trapped in this cycle of trying to create this perfect product in isolation, and then months and months go by and they still haven't made much progress. I've been helping people start and grow businesses for over a decade, and this is definitely a common issue that I've seen. So let's fix it. In this training, we're going to talk about what is a minimum viable product or service, what is a step-by-step process to create one quickly. I'm going to go through some examples of simple MVPs because we don't want anything super complex, right? Something simple for several different business models that you can use and get inspiration from, help you decide what you should charge, and then what are the next steps. This episode is part of season 2 of my YouTube channel, which is all about launching your business and making your first sale. The next episode in this series is going to be how to create your financial projections. But for now, it's all about the MVP, so minimum viable product or service. We're going to dive into the details, make sure that you have a pen and paper ready to take notes because you're going to be doing some work during this training. And I would love to hear in the comments below what you guys think, what you found valuable, if you made some progress. I love hearing about your success and breakthroughs. So with that being said, let's dive in and get ready to make some progress. Okay, welcome to the training on minimum viable product. So the minimum viable product or service, sometimes referred to as the MVP, is meant to be a non-perfect, let me stress, non-perfect product or service to prove that your target market is willing to pay money for your solution. Okay, it's meant to be something quick, simple, just to prove that the market's ready to pay some money for your solution. See, in the old days, an entrepreneur would kind of lock themselves in a basement for 6 months, creating this quote unquote perfect product. Now, when they launched this quote unquote perfect product, what do you think happened? Nobody bought it. And why would they? That entrepreneur never got feedback from anybody. They created what they thought was a perfect product in their mind without getting any input from their target market who would actually want to buy it. Okay, that's a problem. We don't want that to happen. You have to get your customer's opinion along the way while you're building it, while you're iterating it, while you're improving it. The MVP gives them a basic solution. Then you iterate it and make it better over time with their feedback along the way. So the question is, what is something you can create, preferably within a few days or a few weeks, that you can start selling to validate your business idea? Now, some of you may be thinking, there's no way I could create anything in just a few days or a few weeks. And I'm saying wrong. There's always a way. Okay, so let's go through maybe some examples through this presentation so I can get you starting to think, what's something simple that I can sell just to validate that, my market even cares about solving this problem and is willing to pay for it. So you want to be thinking about what are the minimum features needed now and what can wait until later. Remember, we're not creating anything perfect here. We're creating something imperfect on purpose because you don't know what perfect is anyway. So a good way to figure out, kind of to start this process to get you thinking, is you want to interview your target market. Okay, so first, make sure you have narrowed your target market. Okay, if your target market is women or people in their 40s and 50s or some other like super broad market, that's not a target market. That's like 50 million people. So first, narrow it, make it narrow. I have other training on how to narrow your target market. I'm not going to go into it here. Okay, go watch that training if you need help, but make sure that you narrow it down. Next, you want to interview them to see what they need help with, right? Business basically either gets people away from pain or towards their goals, helps them achieve something that they want or helps them solve a problem. Okay, so you want to interview your target market to see like what pains are they running away from and what things are they trying to achieve. So you can ask them things like, what are your biggest problems? What is causing you anxiety, pain, or fear? What is costing you money or time? People will pay money to make money and they'll pay money to get more free time. What is it that they want? What are your hopes and dreams? What would an ideal solution look like for you? So let me tell you a little story. I believe this story is from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I believe that's where it's from. I might be wrong. But anyway, great book if you haven't read it. And the story goes like this. There was a painter, and he painted paintings. No surprise there. And he would go to this elderly gentleman's place quite frequently to try to sell him some paintings. And so he would go there. He would bring his beautiful paintings. The older gentleman would say, "Oh yeah, they seem nice." Yeah, he would always meet with him, but he never bought anything. This went on for years. True story, by the way. So this would go on for years. And one day, the painter was just frustrated and wanted to try something different. So he painted some paintings, and rather than finishing the paintings, he had them about half finished. So he took all these paintings and he said, "Hey, thanks for seeing me again. Like, I want to do something a little different today. I'm having trouble figuring out how I should finish these paintings. They're halfway done. What do you think I should do?" And so the older gentleman said, "Well, you should paint a tree there, or put a house there, or a pretty girl there, or whatever it was." And he went through each of the paintings and said, "Oh yeah, I think you should do this, do this, do this." So the painter went away. Took him a few days or a few weeks to kind of implement what he said. He came back and he said, "Hey, thank you so much for your suggestions. I did exactly what you said. I think they turned out great. Um, what do you think? Do you like any of them?" And he looked at them all and he said, "I'll buy them all. I will buy them all," is what he said. I mean, think about that. Years and years and years, this painter went to this guy's house trying to sell him a painting, never bought a single thing. He made one strategic change, and now he buys all of the paintings. So now what does this have to do with you? Well, when you interview your target market, you're basically going to ask them about their pains and what they're trying to achieve and what would their ideal solution look like. What would their ideal solution look like? And then you go back to them in a few weeks and you say, "Hey, thanks so much for giving me your input on this thing. I have this solution. I have this let me get your thoughts on my new product or service." And you describe exactly what they said that they wanted. And now guess what? They're not going to remember that they told you that exactly that they wanted, right? But they're going to be like, "Wow, this sounds amazing." Now, do you think they might be more likely to buy? Because here's the thing. How often has someone asked you for advice and that person actually followed through and implemented that advice that you gave them and then came back and told you that they implemented your advice and said thank you? Let's be real, that probably almost never happens. So first, they it shows that you listened to what they wanted. It shows that you implemented it, that you're trustworthy, and that you created something that they wanted, and it's exactly what they want. So I think you've got a pretty good shot of them buying whatever the thing is, right? Because they told you, you listened to what they wanted, you built exactly what they wanted, and ta-da, here it is. Okay. That's the power of listening to your target market and giving them or listening to their feedback and implementing it. Okay. It builds trust and it gives them what they want. It also really helps you with your marketing. Because if you interview 20 of your ideal prospects and you know all their pains and how they talk and what their keywords are and their frustrations, do you think you could put together an effective ad or an effective webinar or an effective LinkedIn message or whatever your tool of choice is? They're going to be like, "Wow, I feel like this person knows me already." And that's the point of interviewing them. So the easiest MVP to create, the easiest MVP to create that you can start selling right away, it's to sell your advice or done for you work for $1. Okay? This is easy. This is the fastest thing you can start selling to start making some money. Okay? It could be coaching, it could be consulting, it could be freelance work, really anything. It costs nothing for you to make, and you get to use the knowledge and wisdom that's already in your head. Or you can go read a couple books on a topic, become an expert on a new topic, put together some sort of consulting package or something. Now, a common question that someone might ask is, but what if I don't know the answer to their question? Then you say, hey, that's a great question. Let me go research it and get back to you. Okay, if you're not confident in your skills, then you can put some sort of risk reversal on it. Okay, and by that I mean charge a low amount of money, give a money back guarantee, only have them pay if you produce the result. There's all kinds of things to mitigate the risk. And if they ask you a question you don't know the answer to, and they're like, "Hey, I paid you money. You don't know the answer to this. This is a ripoff." Then give them their dollar back, right? It's like that's why you're not charging a lot of money for your first few clients, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. Now, you can charge more than $1 if you want, and I suggest that you do, but some people have limiting beliefs around the fact that can I really make money doing what I love? Can I really make money doing what I love? Well, once you make that first dollar, I mean, that shatters that belief that, wow, I actually can make money. Now it's only $1, but now you've shattered the belief that can I really make money doing what I love? And now you can start increasing your prices. You may be having limiting beliefs of like, will they really pay me money for this? Can I really make money doing what I love? Can I get a result for people, or am I an imposter? Am I overcharging? Like, all these questions are thrown out the window when you just charge $1 or some really low rate. Okay? Because you're not overcharging if you're only charging $1. You're going to find out if you can get a result for someone. And if you can't, then you give them the dollar back, but this will improve your confidence. You'll start to enjoy helping people, your target market. Okay. But here's the thing, you don't want to just charge $1. You also want to ask for a testimonial. So you say, listen, normally I would charge $5,000 for this help or whatever. But because I'm new, and to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing, I'm willing to do this. And then you give them some offer they can't refuse. Yeah, I'm willing to do it for $1, or I'm willing to do a 200% money back guarantee, or I'm willing to whatever, right? Or you don't have to pay me until I have to get the result. But if you do the dollar thing, say, listen, it only costs $1, but I also want a testimonial if I'm able to help you. Because once you have 3 testimonials, that's usually enough where you can start charging full price for your services. Once you have 3 success stories under your belt, you're feeling confident. You've got 3 success stories that you can point to, and that's enough for you to really start charging more money. Okay, you can sell your advice, knowledge, and work to prove the market, even if you want to sell them a different type of product. So let's say that you're like, Joey, I want to build an app. I want to build an iPhone app. There's no way that I can create an MVP of an iPhone app in a few days. You're right, you can't. But you could create some consulting package or coaching session or done for you service in a few days that the app will do. So if your app is trying to help relieve anxiety or something, then cool. Do a how to reduce your anxiety coaching session and charge money for that. Or if you're trying to do some B2B, like improve your productivity, whatever, then cool. Why don't you charge money where you will do an audit of their current situation in their office and give them a report on where they can improve their productivity, or like whatever the product is supposed to do, then do it yourself in some sort of coaching, consulting, done for you service. So that's a way that you can do it. If it's a product thing where you have to do plastic injection molding from China and it's going to take months before the thing is ready, well, what pain point does that product solve? Let's say that it's a neck massager. I don't know, it just came out of nowhere. Okay, so cool. You're trying to create this new neck massager and it's going to take months to prototype it and blah blah blah. Well, the pain is that they have pain in their neck. So why don't you sell them like an ebook, or not even an ebook, because that would take too long to write, like a some sort of a cheat sheet, like a 3-pager, where it's how to alleviate your neck pain. You know, the top secrets from some scientist or whatever, basically the results that the product is going to have, and see if people will buy it. Now you can start to generate customers and leads by selling them an information product or selling a competitor product. But my product's going to be better. Okay, well, let's see if they'll buy a competitor product first, just to prove that people are willing to spend money to solve this problem. Because just because your competitor is already out on the market, 9 times out of 10, the person probably hasn't heard of that product in the first place. So sell a competitor product to start bringing money in the door, just to prove that, or by even selling a competitor's product, you can start to learn about your market. You can learn about their pain points. You can see what they like about the product, what they don't like. So then you can use all that information to make your product better. And then once you go and launch your product, you have all these people who have either bought your competitor's solution and now you can say yours is better, or they didn't buy your competitor's solution because they didn't like X, Y, and Z about it. And you can say, hey, listen, my product solves X, Y, and Z. Why don't you buy mine now? It's now ready. So there's no excuse. There is a way that you can start making money within a few days from right now. No matter what product or service you're going to offer in the future, let's start making money today. How's that sound? You can also sell an affiliate program. Let's say you're building some huge software as a service, something. Well, go sell other people's products and services as an affiliate, as someone else's SaaS solution. Again, just so you can start learning about your customers, seeing what they like, start building a database of future clients. Okay, some other MVPs. For a physical product, you can create a 3D printed version, perhaps. I mean, 3D printers, they can whip up lots of things nowadays. Can you, rather than doing plastic injection molding from overseas, can you just create something simple? Again, it's not going to be perfect, but can you create something simple using 3D printing? For a restaurant, let's say you want to open a restaurant, but it's going to take you months to find the location, hire the staff, and all the other stuff. Well, why don't you start a catering business to make sure people even like your food? I'm going to open this restaurant. It's going to be amazing food. Cool. Well, why don't you sell the food now? Start preparing the food now, get feedback on how people like the food at catering events. You can start bringing in some money. That's going to be pretty high profit margin for you. It'll help you open the business. If you're an e-commerce site, can you sell the products in person? Or go to a trade show or a local meetup and sell the products there that you want to sell on your e-commerce site, again, to prove and get feedback on, what do you think of my products here? Because if someone's on your website, they're not going to tell you like, oh, I don't like that color, or, oh, I'd rather have that competitor's product instead. They're just going to go on your website, not buy anything, and leave, and you're going to have no idea why. For software, you can show them the wireframe. The wireframe is basically like, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to do. It's just like a piece of paper, or it's a clickable thing on the computer. It doesn't really work, but they can see what it looks like, and now you can get feedback on that. And if you want, you can say, hey, listen, this software is not going to be ready for a few months, but if you buy today, I'll give you 50% discount. Or if you put down a deposit today, right? So even if your product's not going to be ready for months, you can start selling it today. You can say, hey, listen, we're doing pre-orders right now. Put down a 10% deposit, and when it comes out in a few months, you're going to save 25% off what the other people are going to buy. So even if your product or service isn't ready, you can still start selling it today, kind of like a Kickstarter. That's what Kickstarter does. It's like, hey, give me the money today so I can fund this thing, and I'll deliver it to you in 6 months from now or whatever. You can do the same thing. Okay. There's no reason why you can't start making sales soon. Now, let's say you have a done with you service. Maybe you sell them a done for you solution first to prove that the system works and that they're happy with the result. So for example, if you're going to show someone how to run Facebook ads with some sort of done with you course or something, well, just instead Say like, hey, hire me and I'll run the whole Facebook ads for you to prove that my system works. That'll give you confidence in yourself, make sure the system works. And then once you have a few clients doing done for you, then you can transition and say, hey, listen, I've been doing this for a few months. Now I have the done with you solution that's more affordable. For an online course, create and sell the first module. Okay, if you want to sell an online course, create and sell the first module. Much faster than trying to create the whole thing. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. Sell them a competitor's product to see if they will even buy it, and you can hear their feedback. What do they like about the competitor's product? What don't they like? For a food product, look into your state's cottage food laws that are less restrictive. Okay, in some states, you can basically create the food product right in your house and sell it from your kitchen up to a certain level. Okay, now other states are more restrictive and they don't let you do that. You have to be in a co-packer kitchen or commercial kitchen or whatever. So you have to look at your state, but some states are lenient. So you can if you're creating a food product, just start selling it. If you want to sell an 8-week coaching program, and that's going to take you time to build or whatever, sell them a one-time 30-minute Q&A coaching session. Again, just to prove that people are interested in this solution. Now let's talk about an MVP for a course. A lot of people want to sell a course or some sort of group coaching program, and they get into this habit of trying to create the whole thing before they try to sell it. I think that could be a mistake. Don't make a perfect, quote unquote, perfect 8-module course and then try to sell it, because you're going to get into perfectionism and it could take you months before it's ever finished. That's not the point of an MVP. The MVP is like, let's get something out there fast. So what you could do instead is do a general outline of the course or the group coaching program, group consulting program, and sell the course before you make it. What? You're going to take money before the course even exists? Yes, that's exactly what you're going to do. So if you sell it today, then tell them that it'll start in a week. Okay, so if you get 5 sales, over the next few days, you say, cool, it's going to start next week. Now you've got your first 5 clients, and now what do you have to do? You have to create module 1 by the date the course starts. So you create module 1, you create the video or the Zoom lesson, and just make sure it's done before the date you told them. So that provides some great motivation for you to actually get it done. And is it going to be perfect? No, it's not, but that's okay. At least you're getting it done. So you have great motivation and a deadline. Then you have 1 more week to finish module 2. Then you have 1 more week to finish module 3. This is what I call just-in-time content. And this is a good thing because the content's actually going to be better because you're making it with real people who have real questions and real concerns. You're making it with them along the way rather than some hypothetical person in your head. Like if you're going through a course on how to XYZ and you make it without talking to anybody, that's a mistake again. But if you do 1 module per week where you're delivering the lesson and then you have a week to make the next lesson, that lesson is going to change based on the questions that you're getting. Okay? So your course is going to be much better. So I would do an MVP that way. Then when you do the next round, so let's say the first round of the course, it's delivered live over Zoom. So you don't even have to do any recording, just like record the Zoom call. So you're doing it live. People are asking you questions, and then you can say, oh, that's a good question. I'm going to take a note. I'm going to add it to the PowerPoint presentation and make sure I address it next time. So in a way, they're building the course with you. So the first round is just live Zoom Q&A call at the end. You're making your presentation better. Do another round of Zoom where, oh, another question. Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, great. You're iterating it along the way. And then maybe by the 3rd time, you create the actual video where you can scale it more, but you had 2 rounds of getting real life feedback from real people. All right. Now, how much to charge? That's often a stumbling block for people. Very, very often a stumbling block. So, one is see what similar products or services cost. That's the easiest. Okay. See what other people are charging. And then determine do you want to be the cheaper option, or rather cheapest option, or a premium brand? You don't want to be in the middle. You either want to be the cheapest or at the high end of the market, because in the middle, you're just muddled with everybody else. So do you want to be like the Walmart or the Tiffany's? Which one do you want to be? Another way to determine how much you charge is determine how much it will cost you to make it and then forex it. This is very common in the kind of product space where you're selling physical products to retail stores. Okay. So typically how that works, if you go to the Target and you buy some random thing off the shelf and it's $20, well, usually the way that works is the Target bought it for $10 from the wholesaler. Okay, and it costs the manufacturer, the manufacturer sold it for $5 and it cost them $2.50 to make. And then it ends up on the shelf at $20. Okay, that's pretty common of kind of how that works. So the retailer buys it for half of what they're selling it for, so they have a 50% profit margin, and pretty much each step of the way kind of has that margin. So if you're not sure, figure out how much it costs you, and then forex it. Determine how much you want to make per hour. This isn't my favorite way, but one way that you can do it is determine how much you want to make per hour and then figure out how much to charge from there. You could consider selling the first few items for very cheap in order to kind of build confidence and get customer feedback and then raise your price over time. I think this is a good strategy. If you're not confident in charging lots of money, start it cheap and then raise your price over time. Okay, what you charge, especially for coaching, has more to do with your own money beliefs and your sales and marketing skills than anything else. There are coaches and consultants that charge $100,000 per client. There is, right? There's other coaches and consultants that charge $5 an hour. Okay, the price that they charge has more to do with their own thoughts about money than what the market's willing to pay. Because the market's willing to pay $100,000 and it's willing to pay $5. So the difference comes down to basically sales and marketing and your beliefs about money. So make sure you're always improving your marketing skills. Make sure you're always improving your sales skills. Obviously, you have to be a competent professional. But guess what? The most competent professional doesn't make the most money. The best sales and marketer makes the most money. Now, do they have decent skills? Sure, they have decent skills in terms of like providing their service. But the people that make the most money aren't the most qualified. The people that make the most money are the people that are best at sales and marketing. Okay? And so you want to make sure that you're always upgrading your money beliefs and those skills. Don't impose your financial scarcity onto other people. Okay, so here's a fun little story I made up. Let's say that you're a salesperson working at a boat store. Okay. Now you're the salesperson, and your story is that you are having a tough financial time. You have a lot of debt. You've got you got a bill coming up. You don't know how you're going to pay for it. Your family member just got laid off. You grew up in a poor neighborhood and your parents never had any money and you doubt if you ever will. And, you got a past due notice in the mail on your way to work. And that's your state of mind as you're coming in to work at the boat store. So your belief about money is like, there's scarcity. No one has any money. Right? I don't have any money, so everyone else must not have any money either. So then this couple comes into the boat store, and you're like, well, hey, let me show you this toy boat here, because they probably don't have any money either. So let me sell you this $97 toy boat. It's a lot of fun. Your kids will love it. They're like, oh, okay. And they buy the toy boat and they leave. Little did you know that they were looking to buy a $10 million yacht that day, but you sold them a $97 toy boat because you had crappy beliefs about money, so you thought everyone else did too. Don't impose your financial scarcity onto other people, because guess what? There's a lot of rich people out there. There's a lot of people. There's people that buy $100,000 purses for the fun of it. And it's really hard to tell. Sometimes the richest people don't look very rich, right? Because they don't want the attention. So don't impose your limiting beliefs about money onto other people, because you may be losing out on a $10 million yacht sale because you think everyone can only afford a $97 toy boat. Okay? That's my little made up story for the day. So how to charge? Sell the product before it exists and give them a big discount. We talked about this as kind of the Kickstarter model. So if you legitimately have some product or service that's going to take forever to build, great. Sell, get pre-orders today. Or you can actually use Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a great site. If you don't know about it, go look it up. You can put your product or service on Kickstarter itself. So don't use the concept, actually use the site. They can put down a deposit. Hey, my thing won't be ready for a bit. Why don't you put down a deposit today? That'll secure your spot. Now make sure you've got something to accept their money with. So if you're going to go out there selling, how do you accept their money? Well, set up a PayPal account. Accept Venmo, Square, cash, check. If they're like, yes, I want to buy, make sure you're able to accept their money. All right, now it's time to take action. Brainstorm what your minimum viable product or service can be. What's it going to be? Now's the perfect time to find out. If you're having trouble coming up with something, talk to your target market and ask them what a good MVP would be. That's usually the answer. You're stuck? Go talk to your customers or your future customers. Hear what they have to say. Create it and give yourself a deadline of a few days or weeks. So when are you going to have this MVP done and ready for sale? My suggestion is give yourself 3 days. Oh, that's impossible, blah, blah, blah. Limiting beliefs, okay? It's possible. Figure out. But whatever it is, set a deadline. So when is your goal to have this MVP made? Put it in your calendar, pull out your phone, put in your calendar and say, MVP complete. What is the deadline that you're going to give yourself? Do it right now. Find some prospects who could benefit from it, and then sell it. Go sell it. Okay, so this is your homework. Go create an MVP and make money as quickly as possible. Can you do it? Of course you can. Of course you can, and I'm rooting for you. So have fun. You can do this. Good luck, and go make some money. I'll see you in the next training.